Welcome everybody to episode 61 of New Game Experience. My name is Juan Paolini and I'm sitting here with Christian Caroli. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing well, doing well. About to it's ending. The year is ending.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We're
Finally.
going into that holiday time. We're probably gonna go finish up a lot of games. That's usually my plans when it's kind of nearing vacation. What are your vacation plans regards to gaming? Like, do you have that as well?
Not wrapping up games. I just remember that I'm in a kill the backlog policy, so I'm just gonna like play whatever I feel like playing. I do have. We'll talk about it, but I don't think I'm gonna finish like most of the games that I have opened this year.
That's great. That's awesome. Okay, so where we're going to be talking about today is actually kind of a controversial topic, although I doubt that anything we say in this episode is going to be actually controversial. We're
You
just
can
going to
always
go over
lie
it.
and just make like fake clips.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Gamergate. And so
Yeah.
this comes actually from my own curiosity because I think I told maybe last episode, but I told Christian that every time I hear this, I kind of know what it is about, but I wasn't really present for it and I didn't really quote unquote live it. So I don't have like the full context. I think you do. Like, were you like active
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Twitter
yeah. I
those days?
harassed some of those people. No, I'm just kidding. I kind of like lived through it, but I think that at that point I wasn't like. It's not like I didn't understand, but I felt it was kind of like an overreaction, and like it was kind of like a very controversial topic based on the facts that we had at that moment. So it's kind of like a weird perspective. But as time has moved forward, I have like stronger opinions about like kind of like what happened and how it played out.
Absolutely. That's actually why I love to have you here because you're gonna give me. Actually, you're gonna be like the witness in this case, kind of.
No.
And so yeah, so just to get everybody on the same page, just in case you don't really know what this is, I kind of made my research today. So the Gamergate controversy or movement. I mean, it's funny because even when you describe it, it kind of differs a lot. Because in my research, I was like, okay, some people call it a movement, some people call it a culture war, some people call
Culture
it.
war.
It's like I think it's. I mean, I don't mean to like
The
like
reckoning of
minimize.
men in
Yeah,
games.
exactly. And I don't really mean to minimize the fact that some people maybe got burned in this because I mean we're talking about people who received like death threats, rape threats, doxing, and you know that's not nice, not at all.
In
But
that order, because then you get considerably more scared. Like, oh my god, they're gonna kill me. Oh my
exactly,
god, they're gonna rape me before they kill me. Oh my god, they know where I live. This is
exactly.
problematic.
That's how it escalates. And then there's a final one that's here: account hacking, nude pictures published, financial account
Yeah.
login attempts. I mean, it's like it gets really crazy. But I do agree that
This is
if
full on Yeah, it was a full on harassment campaign that was orchestrated with to like several actors in this controversy.
absolutely. So the reason why this originated, the name originates because apparently the actor Adam Baldwin, I'm assuming that's the brother of Alec.
Yeah, yeah, he's a brother.
Okay.
He's kind of like this right wing. I don't know. I don't want to say nut job, but nut job like just like the perfect term for him. That he kind of like denounced the whole thing and made kind of like the biggest boss using his platform to talk about the subject, to put it mildly.
Exactly. And the subject in this case, like what sparked the whole thing was that there was this game dev. She's called Zoe Quinn. She's still active, although we're going to kind of go into where she is now because I think that's kind of interesting as well. But she had this game that's called Depression Quest, I believe.
Yep.
And
Depression
it was
Quest.
like a kind of very artsy indie game where, you know, it was kind of like a game, but more of like an interactive experience.
It was
And
kind of like an experimental game, you would say,
okay.
like even like from back in the day.
Okay. And then this was getting a lot of coverage from sites. And then this combined with another thing that this was like one of the most bonkers things of the whole story is that her ex-boyfriend, his name is Aaron Johnny. So it's like
Aaron Johnny.
GJONI. So it's kind of,
Okay.
I hope I'm saying it correctly. Aaron Johnny, he made a blog that was really long where he
Super long.
details how Zoe, apparently she was manipulative, apparently she cheated on him with multiple people, blah blah blah. I kind of read a little bit. I didn't read the whole thing because I mean it's kind of cringy. It's probably this guy who's, I mean, I don't know if the things he's talking about are true. I don't know why he would make them up, but that's not for me to say. But he goes into a lot of detail, a lot of kind of sexual details as well. And I just didn't really want to. I mean,
I
it's just
read it back in the day, and I was
okay.
like, "Wow, this guy is hurt."
Yeah, exactly. You tell that the guy is definitely hurt.
Yeah.
This was written like in 2014, I think,
Yeah,
like
yeah, it's
August
like
2014.
so long ago. And
Exactly.
also like kind of like the main thing that happens after that is kind of like people get mad as hell, because I think that automatically everyone thought like, oh my god, they're like everyone's getting late except us. No, just kidding. Everyone like what this whole thing started. It was like the whole ethics in journalism,
Hmm.
ethics in video game journalism kind of thing. Um, and it was basically she slept with a, like, if you read the blog post, like kind of like the conclusion is like she slept with a bunch of dudes to get coverage for her shitty game. That's kind of like the
Allegation.
message.
Yeah,
The
like
allegation, yeah,
allegation.
yeah,
Yeah,
you would say
yeah.
allegedly. Obviously, like all this is allegedly, and then people go bonkers, and I think that not only they go bonkers, but the people mentioned in this blog post and her as well, they just like fight back in the sense of saying like all that is bullshit, blah blah blah, and then basically everyone starts calling everyone names, and some people in the industry that were not very much liked, I would say, started like standing up for her. And then like more and more people started like standing up for her, saying like, okay, this is wrong, because she got like a massive amount of flack that I don't think that anyone like really deserves, even if she were to do like all the shit she did allegedly. I think that it's just way too much, like death threats, like all you said, all the things you said before, literally like trying to hijack her financially. If it's just it just went bonkers.
Absolutely, and it's crazy. And so yeah, just to connect it a little bit, one of the people she was allegedly sleeping with is Nathan Grayson, who is a very annoying writer. That he was for Kotaku before. I think now he's in the Washington Post, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, like if she was sleeping with these people for reviews, she definitely deserved those reviews. Because bro, like
Yes.
what, like it's like it's just, well, like I would like honestly, if you're willing to promote that game, you get like a 10 masterpiece for just like reaching out to those people. This
Yeah.
yeah. Also, it's like the people mentioning those articles were just like the perfect examples of people that basically were not like really into games, and they were just like kind of like bitter, like writing shit they didn't like, and at the same time were the one that got super mad, like, well, this is not true kind of thing, or like not even just not true, like some of them they were like, so what kind of thing. And and obviously like it was that's the whole thing. By the way, the name Gamergate comes from the scandal Watergate. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
think it's kind of like the idea, like it's just like, but in this case for gamers, and it just that's kind of like why then, like that's the name, kind of like the news that broke everything, how the video game journalism industry supposedly it's a piece of shit.
Yeah, there's actually been a lot of gates. Like there was Resolution Gate back in the when the PS4 was released, and a bunch of other crap. But yeah, so of course, like you said, this happened to her. This happened also to Anita Sarkeesian, who is also a very controversial figure in the industry. She's also, I mean, I don't mean to like get on anyone's side here because that's not the issue here. I just want to get informed. I just want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah,
However, the thing about these people is that if they suffered this harassment, and I think they did. I mean, we can get into if we
100% they did.
if we believe it.
100% they
Yeah,
did.
okay. However, these are people that are at least on Twitter like super obnoxious, super obnoxious. Like
This is their identity. Their
yeah,
identity is this validates their identity to some extent, and a lot of these people have made a career and out of this. Like they make money out of this, and I understand that this has to be a horrible situation to profit from, even if you were doing it rather well, as I think Anita Sarkeesian is she's been doing. But when it began, like it was really really hard to read for anyone external to video games, and even like people related to video games. Like as it was happening, it was like, so who gives a shit? Like if all these nerds are just getting late. Because they promising like good reviews, like to some extent, like I think that it was kind of like a wake up call to some people to be like, wow, this is definitely not a good industry. But at the same time, a lot of like bad actors were like, okay, now we're gonna just overreact to this and destroy these people's lives. And I think that one of the examples, the people that I think that completely was out of the picture was Phil Fish,
Oh yeah.
the creator of Fest, one of the two creators. And he deleted, like, he lashed back to people calling gamers shit and like horrible things. And then eventually he deleted all his social media and he never launched the game again, which like I don't want to like give like a personal judgment. Probably he went like through a really hard time, and I don't blame him for kind of like going AWOL and just kind of like disappearing. But at the same time, it's like, it's really giving in. Like it's like feeding the trolls and just like going into the troll lair and becoming one and going insane.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I mean, I know this is not easy, especially when you're one of these women. Like, for example, Zoe, supposedly she received like 1,000 death threats a day, which, I mean, sounds crazy, but the internet is full of people, and sometimes people are shitty. So I
Yeah.
kind of, I totally believe that it's, even though it's just words written on a website or messages you're receiving, it has to weigh down on you mentally at some point. I mean, it has to be, um, draining at some point. And my very comfortable position recommendation is always like just ignore it, because if you feed into it, you're just like giving it more wave to the fire, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I can totally see how at some point you just break and you just want to reply to some people and just, I don't know, bash their heads in virtually, like you, if you could. So yes, so the thing I wanted to talk about this is that, I mean, obviously this is a surprise to no one because we've all been on the internet, we've all seen cringy or shitty Twitter threads. But there's this thing that I found that I thought it was interesting. That's called apparently it has a name now. It's called online disinhibition effect. So I'm just going to read this really quickly.
Hmm.
Online disinhibition effect is the lack of restraint one feels when communicating online in comparison to communicating in person. People feel safer saying things online that they would not say in real life because they have the ability to remain completely anonymous and invisible behind a computer screen. This goes on to say that it has both positive and negative effects because, for example, sometimes people who are maybe a little bit more introverted feel more comfortable to like speak out or share things, and that can be like a good outlet for these kinds of things. However, when it goes into the negative thing, what they call, I think, toxic disinhibition, that's when we see all these trolls, all these people that are like death threats, rape threats, doxing, and blah blah blah. So as I said, this is the fact that this has a name now is good for maybe psychology purposes and academics. For us, it's something that we already knew existed, but it just has a name.
Yeah.
So what do you feel about the disinhibition effect? I mean, it's obvious, but I just wanted to get your take on
I
that.
mean, definitely, it's definitely a thing. It's kind of like road rage kind of thing, like when you don't have any consequences, and that's why a lot of the people involved in these Twitter trials, they're bullies, they're cowards, they will not face the consequences if they're wrong. They will not pass the judgment. They will just say what they think and hurt people, and even go as far as directly attacking them. And to some extent, I think that it doesn't matter if you're right when you're trying to like get justice done through your own hands in an anonymous way on a public website. Like it's just dystopian. It's just draconian. It's just like you can't. It's like you're out there to hang by this multitude of people that you don't owe them anything. Which I think it's kind of like the other part of it. Like I understand from suicide, he kind of like doesn't owe all these gamers like anything to some extent. Um,
Absolutely.
at the same time, I think that one of the stories about Zoe is like when one of the people that she was dating, like her ex boyfriend, basically killed himself after she accused him of sexual assault, basically,
Oh,
and that happened kind of like after Gamergate, and it was kind of like she again, you know, and when people kill themselves after they're accused of something, it's easy to say, oh, they were fucking guilty. But the truth is, like, some people know that their careers are over after just being accused. Like, there's no, there are circles, social circles, where there's no path to redemption, and we have seen that with several people that they get canceled, and they basically, even if they didn't do anything wrong, they can't really go back. Like, there's no way back. I think we talked about this once with Aziz Ansari, and like when he
oh yeah.
he was basically canceled, and it was like he's out. Like, it's been impossible for him to like really return as the guy that he was, when the truth is it wasn't. Like, his accusations were not in the same realm of the accusation of people that were happening at the same time, like Kevin Spacey and whatnot. And I think that it is super easy for someone to just go online and send a death threat. You can do that to anyone, with almost no repercussions. The worst thing can happen is that your account's going to get deleted. But if you're smart enough, you open an account just for that. So it's a bit shady, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. This actually kind of reminds me. I don't know if you've seen the documentary about QAnon that's on HBO. It's called
Yeah, yeah,
Into the Storm.
I've seen it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, but the guy who created 8chan was kind of being indicted in the Philippines because of slander, like online slander and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
things can happen if you do this.
Yeah.
Like in some places, and maybe not in the United States, which is kind of weird. But I don't know.
But I think my point being there with what I was saying is, like, I think that from both sides, I guess that there were people that they were kind of like the easy target for anyone to feel vindicated. Like, I don't want to, like, I don't know Zoe Queen. I've never met her. I just know what I've read. But from what I've read, it seems like a very conflicted person. And
Yeah, yeah. She seems
like
like she's very
quite the
like you said.
handful. And also the people that were sending death threats and just kind of like defending gaming as it was some type of, like, you know pure whole, like a pure movement, or like a holy feat that they could only bolster, or something like that. It's just pretty idiotic. But politically, a lot of people took that narrative and they picked it up and built careers and made money out of it. Because I think that's kind of like the tricky part with controversies. It's like, you can build an industry on top of this crap and actually make thousands of dollars just talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I wanted to mention something that maybe it doesn't spark a whole conversation, but it's just like a little asterisk. You said how she doesn't really owe anybody anything in regards to the depression quest part
Yeah.
and the whole thing that sparked that, and I totally agree with you. However, there is another case that I found recently where apparently she kickstarted this game that's called. Let me see what it's called.
That's that's the thing.
I mean,
her games are shit. Like, it's someone has to fucking
I
say.
have absolutely no idea about that.
Like, that's the thing that you need, kind of like a perfect storm, to like create a movement like this one. And it is the case where, like, everything adds up. Like, there's no way that game would have had the coverage that it had if it was not for the influence that she had in the industry. Whether she fucked those people allegedly or not, I don't know. Like, but it just shows how biased an industry that is just like basically, it's like it's disconnected from their audience. The only thing that they have is a platform that every day it gets smaller.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. But so the Kickstarter I was talking about is called Kickstarted in the Butt, a Chuck Tingle digital adventure. I have no idea what this is. However, it gathered $85K, and it hasn't been updated since 2018. So there's been 3 years where she hasn't said anything to these people. She took their money. I don't know what happened. I don't know how their policies work with Kickstarter, But this is, I think this is kind of very shitty, like a very shitty thing.
So the thing I think probably is that on August of 2019, she was when she denounced her ex boyfriend for
Okay.
sexual assault, and then published that, and then he fucking killed himself almost immediately. And the guy, and yeah, that's it. And like the post even ends with saying like he apologized or like whatnot, and a lot of people say that the timelines of that note that she wrote, like with all the information, were not accurate, that they were impossible. And some people like came out defending his boyfriend, but he killed himself because he was basically a very progressive um, person in the industry. And then he was like, okay, I'm never gonna be able to like continue my career as it was
Sure.
before. And that was it. And he decided to kill himself because he was also suffering from depression, and that whole thing pushed him over the edge. So that's when she came back again, and everyone was like, "Wow, this is sad." And yeah, I don't know, because it's kind of like, I mean, this was from the creator of Night in the Woods, if I remember
Oh, okay.
correctly.
I know that game. Okay.
Yeah. So in a way, the allegations that she pointed out were super serious, but then people were like, "This, we don't believe you," kind of thing. And like when I say people don't believe you, it's not like gamers don't believe you. It's not like a bunch of like nerds were like, "No, this is not true." It's like people were like, okay, close to him, they were like, these dates are not correct. This is not a depiction of reality. And I'm guessing that while that was happening, she was like, "Oops, it seems like it's a hard time to ship a game." So, but yeah, like obviously she could still at least explain in her Kickstarter, like, "Hey, sorry, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
deliver this fucking game."
I know, I know. But yeah, I mean that like it's very unfortunate. I don't really, I can't really make any judgments, and wouldn't even do that if I could, of like whether she said what she said is real or not, because I have no fucking idea, and I don't know any of these people. But yeah, I mean, it seems like very unfortunate that she's involved in so many of these situations. That's what I wanted to say.
Sounds shitty.
Very, very shitty.
I still, I
So
still, I still think that it's overall, like I'm one of those persons that is just like, I look at a conflict and I don't think like, oh, I wish the bad guy dies or the bad guy gets punished. I wish there was no conflict. I wish like this wasn't the case. Like I wish like there was no, like, even like this type of allegation, like when you have like allegations that can just like burst a community like that, it's probably because like that community is in trouble.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, 100%. Because it speaks to what type of people form part of that community, and if these things are common or are, yeah, that it's just like what's happening here. Like it's like, for example, what's going on in Activision. Like if it's like we saw that something happened. Like there's two cases. Let me just give a little context. One of the C level executives of Sony was kind of caught doing this pedophile thing where there's this YouTube channel that follows, like, kind of baits pedophiles and then catches them in the act. He was caught there. He was like I don't know, like a vice. I don't remember where he is, like in
A
Sony.
VP,
Yeah, exactly, a
a
VP.
VP, vice that
And,
vice
and
president kind of thing.
exactly, and he was like immediately fired. And but like we know that's like an isolated incident. However, with Activision, the way that it's been talked about and the way it's been said by the people who work there and everything, it's like a systemic thing that's coming actually literally from the top. So it's different.
like
Like
like there's impunity.
exactly,
It's an organization that you just allows everyone to go rampant and abuse their power and steal milk from breastfeeding women.
oh my god,
Which, who
yeah.
can blame them? Just kidding, don't do that. It's a terrible thing. It tastes like shit. Just kidding as well. I've never tasted that since I was a baby.
I don't remember what it tastes like either, but yeah.
But this should be kind of like the same in the same scenario because it should be a big deal for that company. But the fact that like if something happens in a company, then it's assumed like it's an industry problem. It's also not going to solve it. You know, probably Activision has this problem, but I'm pretty sure that some other studios just don't have it. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
no,
I don't think I don't think it's impossible, because one of the things that I wanted to talk about, I mean, maybe we can have this conversation now, is this whole controversy and this whole movement, or however you want to describe it, sparked what I think is now the, let's say, the word gamer from some of these industry people, especially games media people, is kind of used now like a slur or like an insult. Like
the racial
they're like,
slur.
what are you, a gamer? It's like immediately that comes with you're a right wing bigot or whatever. Like all these
Gamers
things.
rise up.
Exactly.
I
think
these are people
that's not fair.
I mean, it's not, because in the end, it's just a hobby. You know, it's just something you do to pass your time. I think that it's important to remember that it's it's um it's convenient for both corporations and the media to stop using that word, because that word is kind of like community driven or like pastime driven. Like it's very specific. It's not as generic. But when you say, and it's kind of like it's a niche to some extent. But when you don't say gamer, you say user, player, like whatever. And your expectation is like everyone's gonna play your game. And they're making games right now that they definitely need as much people as possible to play it. I was reading the other day that there are 700 people working on Fortnite at any given time, at least, and that's a lot of people for a game that is from a studio that they're just probably the most technologically advanced and proficient studio there is. They're able to ship quality content like crazy. Like Epic Games just launched a completely new island. I'm not being. This is not an ad, by the way. I'm not being sponsored, sadly, by Epic Games. But they just launched a complete new map, huge revamp of the game, and it went almost flawless. Like it's really good compared to, like, for example, Warzone, that they released a new map and it was just shit. Impossible to play and just like full of bugs and whatnot. So it shows that kind of like this is, I don't know where was I even going with that. I just started like talking like, oh my god, I like Fortnite so much.
We started with the whole gamer thing and how that
so
now...
everyone needs, so they need everyone to play this fucking game, because otherwise it's not sustainable. So they definitely need to like appeal to women, appeal to like every single minority, appeal to every single country. So that this whole inclusivity thing does not cost them anything, and they still fuck it up. They still like they still, so this whole thing of being like, hey, so the fact that there are like these allegations at the same time that they're trying to be like, hey, every other hero in Overwatch is gay, and like just not add up. Like, you either have a really good company that builds like great games and it's an inclusive environment, and then you can ship anything. You can ship like white male simulator. But if your company is good and you're hiring like good talent and you're being fair, then okay, let's go for it. But they do it the other way around. Like, oh my
Absolutely.
god, we seem to have a very clear case of systemic abuse inside our company, so we're gonna rename our cowboy.
What's the new name? He was McCreary before, right?
Yeah, it's Shooty McEpstein.
What? Okay.
Just kidding.
Okay.
Just a Jeffrey Epstein joke. I don't even know how the fuck. It's McCree. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's forever gonna be McCree. You cannot change the name of a character that was kind of like in the cover of your game for like 4 years and then be like, it has another name. It's like, whatever. I guess like I'm gonna look the name.
Okay. Okay, so then I think the last topic
Cole
that
Cassidy.
Oh, okay. Well, that is also a cool name, so it kind of works. But yeah,
And he's
I agree with you.
and he's non-binary now. Not just kidding. He's just still just a fucking cowboy. But they change it. I think they changed it a little bit still.
Okay.
And they rewrote the lore and whatnot.
Yeah. Okay. So what you mentioned about like the whole user thing and the, let's say, rhetoric around games, just to be more inclusive to people, and not because we want to be inclusive, but because we want more money from more people. I mean that totally makes sense. However, that's not really what I what I mean when I say that the term gamer has been like dragged through the mud. I mean like I mean I can never forget this because it was like tattooed on my brain now. But once I was watching a kind of funny coverage of I don't know what. I think it was around maybe Cyberpunk 2077 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were kind of alluding to the fact that the way how every time the game got delayed, there were like these yellow posts on Twitter with like "Dear Gamer," blah blah blah.
Yeah.
They were saying like they were linking Cyberpunk to like transphobic things because the game had transphobic things in it. And apparently there was also, I think you mentioned something about a joke, or maybe Fabio did in that episode, about like how there was this joke that the Twitter guys from CD Projekt Red did. And so they were kind of in like a mini controversy around transphobia. And so the guys from Kind of Funny were kind of alluding to the fact that the way they message their own posts to their own community was like, hey, dear gamer. Because we know that if we say the word gamer, we're attracting the right-wing, alt-right people. You know, it's like, no. I mean, that's definitely people, not what's happening.
There are two things. It's never enough. Like, it's never enough. Even if they were, say, fucking Nazis, it would still be enough for them. Or even if, you know, Keanu Reeves just looks at the screen and says, if you're a Nazi, stop playing this thing. It would never be fucking enough. Never. And that's a sad thing. I'm not saying that you need to have like Keanu saying the N-word and then the game being like absolutely edgy and like fuck everything. But it's that you cannot appeal to them. And that's for one thing. And the other thing is like they see everything through their own political optic. And they use that optic for everything. And not everyone shares that optic. But everyone in that industry shares that optic. And by industry, I mean the video game journalism. Like everyone has that optic. Everyone complies to that. And every time something happens, they have an opinion. Like the same time, like when, and it's orchestrated. Like it's definitely orchestrated. And there are reports about this from that they have, like, I don't know if it's a Discord channel or like a Telegram channel. I don't know what the fuck they have, where around like 500 people from the journalist industry, they basically talk shit and they say, hey, let's talk about Palestine. And they did. And that's the whole thing. And then it's like, how is Palestine relevant to, you know, video game coverage? And it's just kind of like, I call it like socialist LARPing. And it's a continuous thing of things that you really don't want to hear about. And so it's hard to like defend those people. Because it's like, this is your job. Yep. You're not doing your job correctly if you have people that they're accusing you of sleeping with someone for reviews of a video game. It's so insane. Like, you should definitely get fired. Like, I'm not saying like you should, you know, lose your ability to make money or be disenfranchised or lose your identity or like just or be threatened to death. But this is not a career for you. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. If you did that, then in the same way that if a doctor like sleeps with a patient, it's like, obviously, like instead of like doing what they're supposed to do as a doctor, but like in general, you should lose your medical license. You know, it's kind of like that thing, and it's just weird.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I think that another one. I don't know if you remember this, but I think maybe this year or last year. No, it was this year, definitely. There was a guy that was like ousted, quote unquote, as being an alt-right YouTuber. And he worked at the guys that did Disney Infinity and the ones that are doing Hogwarts Legacy.
And he the only thing he had done is like some YouTube videos where he was just like discussing a Ben Shapiro video. And then another one where he was saying like Venezuela was not a socialist utopia or some shit like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And he just released a video saying like, no, I'm just gonna retire. I have money and blah blah blah. And I was not a director in the studio. This was for the Harry Potter game, right?
Yep, the Hogwarts Legacy game.
The Hogwarts Legacy game.
And that video that he released was really very interesting because I think it was originally like a goodbye letter to everybody in the team. Yeah, however, it had some cool things for us as well. And he kind of highlighted like how his exiting of the team was covered. And they didn't even get his position right. and they never corrected
Yeah.
it. It's like lead designer, he's an alt-right guy. And I remember that the day I stopped watching Kind of Funny was the day that they covered it, because they were like they just went with that narrative, and they didn't even
Yeah,
check his
yeah, yeah.
videos. They didn't do anything, and I was like,
They didn't give a
what the
shit.
fuck?
And
Yeah,
the guy was
it's
like, no, I wasn't leading nothing. I was just like senior producer. And like, he was just like giving like a, that's the thing about like these people that work in video games. They're just engineers. They're just project managers. They're not politicians. They're not evil. They have political opinions, just like the guy that, works at the supermarket. And he was just giving like the most boring timeline in the whole fucking world. He was like, yeah, I started working on the studio in 2016. It started like a lead designer while we didn't have the support, and we did an AQ hire, and then I passed this. But it's like, dude, so fucking boring. Like, the guy has a YouTube channel where he just like broadly talks about like a Ben Shapiro video, saying he probably is not that wrong. It's just like, okay, whatever. Like, what's that relevant? Like, people since Gamergate, they have like built this stupid echo chamber of journalists, that they block anyone that mildly disagrees with them. So they have just a bunch of like yes dudes on their replies, and they oust anyone from their community. Like, it's like we always, every time we mention Colin Moriarty, it's like he was basically kicked out of the community because he made like a joke.
a
And
bad joke. Yeah,
not even a bad joke. It's like, it's a joke. Like, you could see it and laugh or not laugh. You could
yeah.
choose what you wanted to do with it. He was just saying like, what the and he was just like, he could have lost absolutely everything, his livelihood, and most of his friends didn't give a shit, so they weren't his friends. So at
No,
that point, it's like, that's the thing. Like, they're sharks. They're surrounded by sharks. And not only him, like, I think it's like John Tron, from the John Tron show. I think he had like some weird political opinions in a YouTube video, and boom, it was almost like they wanted him dead. John Tron, Notch, the creator of Minecraft, he probably has shitty political takes,
he
but
does. He does have weird
I
ones.
think he was like, but again, like, who gives a shit? Like, the guy's like, why are you so concerned about like what Notch has to say? I think he was saying something like regarding like IQ and race. I don't even remember what was it about, because
Something like that. Yeah.
it was something like super fucking stupid. But at the same time, it was like, so what? Like, and people like, and I remember like articles back in the day. I don't know if I can play Minecraft. It's like, well, don't play it.
Exactly.
But a lot of people, I've met people that they say, and they believe that Gamergate was unequivocally what ended up on Donald Trump winning the presidency of the United States. And he's like, wow, no, not really.
That, yeah, like these exaggerations are what I don't really understand, and that's why I wanted to ask you, like for me reading this back, it makes no sense, that statement. And other statements, like there was this article I included here as a source, from the Washington Post, where they say things like, why should I care about Gamergate? And then they say something like, in many respects, Gamergate is just a proxy war for a greater cultural battle over space and visibility and inclusion. A battle over who belongs to the mainstream. And as such, it's a battle for our cultural soul. It's like, dude, what the fuck?
Seems important. It seems like worth fighting for.
And don't
Never
get,
surrender.
and one thing that I don't want people to take from this is that, I mean, I know we're being hard on games media because they kind of deserve it, but what they don't deserve is death threats, doxing, nude pictures being leaked, and all these things. So I am going to speak for both of us, because I'm going to take the liberty to do that. We're not endorsing any of that, and we're not endorsing any kind of harassment. However, these people do questionable things as well.
They're
Not at that
troll.
level, but
They're troll
yeah.
merchants. They're troll merchants. They run
Oh,
a
okay.
troll safari. They take pictures of trolls. They write about trolls. They hunt trolls and then sell them as trophies. They make trolls disappear for you if you need them. They decide who's a troll and who's not. There is it's a troll. It's a troll safari. Like, they're troll hunters. I don't know what the fuck to call them, but they benefit 100% from this, because in the end, people like the what you need from game journalists is like to analyze games, and not that many people, and you don't need that many people to do that. I would say like any, like you could build your own audience and have like very specific flavors, today's internet, but you no longer need IGN. The only conversation that IGN drives nowadays is, oh, IGN gave this game an 8, and that's it. That
That's it.
that's that's it. Oh, IGN gave this a 5, which in most cases that was gonna happen anyway. Like if it's not IGN that killed the game was gonna like flunk. And now there's even the discussion that when a game like Deathloop gets a perfect 10, people go a little bit like, huh, really, IGN? Like we don't even give a shit anymore about the number. It's just like it's the last bastion of the discussion that they have. So so I don't know what they're gonna do. I think they're just like it's an industry that's just gonna exist for the sake of industry. It's just content for the sake of content.
Yeah, no, 100%. Let's go into what we're playing because I think we've covered the thing enough. Of
Everything.
course,
Like if you watch all the way until here, you probably have like the best opinion that you could have. You're welcome.
exactly. You're very very welcome. But I do want to say again because I do feel like we were like 90% bashing these journalists. The behavior that they endured with the harassment is horrible, and that I don't think anybody deserved that. Anybody really.
If you're watching this and you've ever sent a death threat or you harass people, I just want to say that we didn't talk that much about you because we think you're a piece of shit. Like
Exactly.
you're literally even worth this. You're a fucking troll.
Exactly.
Go get some air. Drink
100%.
drink drink some Red Bull, and go for a fucking run and clear your head because you're obviously insane. So that's kind of like
Absolutely.
my message to those people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also the reason why I think we don't really cover that as much is because to me and to you as well, that it's so obviously wrong that it does not even need to say it, right?
We
It's
have
like
played The Last of Us 2, so we know that violence is bad. Revenge not good.
okay, Christian. Speaking of violence, what have you been playing, sir?
Uh, I played like 4 hours of Halo Infinite, and I still don't fucking get how this game is so famous. I'm sorry, I just can't fucking understand it. Like it's, and then I played Destiny. Like Destiny, oh, I should have put Destiny in the list. No, I'm always just gonna put Destiny on the list. Destiny
Yeah,
released their
it's
30th
always there.
anniversary, and they released a new dungeon that was just fucking savage. It's great. The events for the 30th anniversary of Bungie, they're super generous. The new activity is fun as hell, and the new guns are cool. The skins, they look like shit. It looks like gangster. I don't know, like streetwear. Armor is just horrible. I wish I could even like delete it from my inventory, but I just didn't click with Halo Infinite. Everyone was like, oh, you have to reach the open world part. I reached it and it was like, okay.
Okay, well, I differ a lot in that game because I'm playing it as well. I've been playing it for I don't know how many hours, but maybe 6 or more, and I am loving it a lot. I think it's very exciting to be back with Chief because we hadn't been with Chief like properly since Halo 4. Halo 4 was released in, I'm gonna say 2012, 2011, something like that. I think I'm right about that. And I'm a big fan of open world games, as I've always said. I have played a lot of Far Cry's, not all of them, but like Far Cry's and Assassin's Creed's. I am now in a wave of trying not to do that because I fall into those rabbit holes of clearing the map and getting all the outposts and all the collectibles because it's something I actually enjoy. However, with Ubisoft games, it's like so repetitive and so empty the experience that I just want to like not succumb to my addiction and just like go to other things. And that's why I'm enjoying this a lot because yeah, it is very much like sorry, very much like a Far Cry in the sense that you have these outposts and these things and you collect things, you collect collectibles, audio logs and all that. Like it doesn't have anything that's really like new for video games. However, it does have things that are new for Halo, and that excites me. I think
The
I'm
hook.
enjoying the guns a lot. Yeah, like the grapple hook. The grapple hook is interesting because, like, I think that people could can like dismiss it very easily. However, I think that this the way traversal works and the way exploring works in this game, it gives me Breath of the Wild vibes. And I'm not really exaggerating at all when I say that, because I mean there are like these like high spires. It's not like a tower. It's like the rings form these like, I don't know how to call them, like hexagonal pillars, and sometimes they go very very high up. And if you time it well and you do it correctly, you can get to the top of those spires, and you can get to the top of any mountain. And
Spider-Man style.
Spider-Man style, absolutely. And as you well know, like you know more about that than I do. That like to make your map not only be big but also like that verticality, that has been like, I don't know how many fucking thousands of hours and resources in QA and like making sure it works and everything. So I think that that is very commendable. Not only not that is not only like new for Halo. I think that is like gameplay wise very cool thing to
Yeah,
have.
I think that's one of the things that people were like, for example, really looking forward in Cyberpunk, because one of the things that they promised was that it was gonna be like this city that you could just go into every building and every room and just, and it didn't happen. Verticality is something that it's very hard to achieve in games, design wise, because it implies that you're going to have to figure out ways of communicating the map not only to the player but like to the different teams, and trying to like piece together how the experience is gonna play out in a way that it does not feel repetitive or like it's easy to traverse. So it is a challenge, and I think that, I mean, the game is definitely like technically, I would say it's like really technically good, and the whole verticality that it seems to have is just, and the hook shot as well. Like this seems like these are elements that are added with a lot of care. Like it's okay, we want to make it work and still be Halo. What I think it's really commendable about this game is that it's still Halo. It's the same Halo I played. Like it's the same Halo I've been playing since, I don't know, 2001 or something like that.
Yeah, that's the
It's
one,
like
the first.
it's just the same Halo, and that's really cool. Like I think I appreciate that, but it's a game that I think the only one that really clicked for me was Halo Reach, and the others are just like it just feels empty, like at least for me. But it's just like the scenarios feel repetitive. Once you're outside the enemy variety, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, the gun variety, just I feel like they're packing a punch or something. But it's again, like it's nothing. I'm sure the multiplayer is super fun. So yeah, like I think it's a cool game.
Yeah, no, but I totally understand. I mean, no game is for everybody. This is a game that I think that this one specifically, like, if I, this is of course impossible to answer, no, but if I were walking into Halo Infinite without having any knowledge of other Halos, would I be as, like,
Oof,
happy about it? I don't
I
know.
don't.
I really don't know. And that's what's happening to you, and I totally understand.
I don't think so. Like it's if you're a bit skeptic, I think this is just more of that skepticism. But talking about games that not everyone likes, I also was playing Death Stranding. Um, I'm just going with emotions with this game. I have to go to one place, turn in a package. The only thing I need to remember is save as often as possible, because at some point I was just like, walking, listening, like a music start playing. It's like low roar soundtrack, and I go through a wheat field, and it's like, oh my god, I'm chilling. Then I got mocked by moles, and somehow the package got destroyed, and I lost like 25 minutes of walking, and it totally threw me off. The next time I faced those mules, I kicked their asses. I killed everyone, even the children too, as Anakin would say. I was just like smacking every
Sky,
single fucking mule. I was like full Metal Gear Solid for 1 second.
you were
Like
like
knocked,
Anakin Skywalker with the Sand People.
I knocked everyone out, and then I picked up all their shit, put it inside their own truck, stole the truck, and that was it. I which is not how you're supposed to play the game. I guess I don't even know how you're supposed to play the game. I I guess that it's like I'm dreading the moment when I reach the mountains because everyone keeps telling me like that's the worst part, like the snowy mountains.
Yeah,
But I'll let you know once I get there. I'm playing a little bit like every day, like I'm just trying to like go through it. It's
I
still
think that's
fun to some extent. Like you're just walking.
I think that's a very healthy way to do it because it's. I mean, that's a game that can easily get repetitive, especially if you don't enjoy what you're doing, which I don't fault you for because it's literally walking and all those things. But how do you feel about the story so far? Like, are you hooked in the
Yeah,
whole
it's good.
cutscenes?
The story is good. Like everything else except the gameplay, it's really really fun and really really my jam. Like the music is totally my jam. The graphics look great. The aesthetics, the emails are cool. The awkward dialogues, I think I also enjoy them a lot. So that's cool. So yeah, cool
Just
game.
just remember, Christian, you may be fragile, but you're not fragile.
Oh no, my favorite was one. Everything is true except the lies. Like
That's just so good.
this is logically accurate.
Yeah.
Thank you. Approve.
That is like the room level dialogue. I think. I don't know how you feel about it.
She just keeps saying stupid shit, and it's like, okay, I guess so. You know, like I wish it was voicing the character in real time and be like, okay, yeah, yes, change your name. You know, if you're not frail, change the name of your fucking company. You say, you know, you send packages and you're called frail. Don't
Yeah,
fucking
that's
idiot.
that's actually a very red flag, right? It's like, how can you?
Yeah, it's a marketing issue here. And also, like the whole thing was like, oh, some people think I'm a terrorist, some other people don't, and it's like, okay, this is like very serious accusations. Like, what? Like, what does the president think? She doesn't think you're. You know, she could help you out. You know, like we could tell people that it's not that straightforward. I know that part of the story is just quirky, but I'm rolling with it.
Yeah, just roll with it. Okay, what else are you playing, sir? Because
Um, pl-
I'm just playing Halo right now.
I'm playing Ori.
Oh, which one? First one too.
The first one, I think. Like it's
Ooh.
I've never played it before. It's cool. I think that so far I'm having fun. It's kind of like a Metroidvania kind of thing, so that's fun. And I started Spiritfarer because you recommended it in the other podcast with our friends El Culto del Ocio, because you were saying like it was kind of like one of your games of the year, and I
Yeah.
had seen it, but I was like, should I? I'm enjoying it a lot. Seems fun.
Like I think that both for both of those games you just said, like both Spiritfarer and Ori, the art style is like beautiful on both of those. Very different, but very beautiful. And also the music, especially for Ori, like that's been like
No, no,
in the
it's
back of
really
my mind one of the best soundtracks that I've heard. And yeah, Spiritfarer, like the story of that game is just so beautiful. Like the stories you get with each character, each like how would you call them? Like souls? I don't remember how they call it in the
I haven't
game.
played that much. Like the last
Oh,
thing
okay,
I
okay,
did, I only collected like two of them, and I am picking up that they're kind of like your friends and shit like that.
okay.
So it seems like I died, and like I'm collecting the souls of people that died after me. Like that seems to be the gist of the game so far. That's what I understand. No spoilers.
Yeah,
But it's pretty unique, and I kind of like those games because at least this one so far seems to have that level of simplicity that is not, because I like Stardew Valley, but I found it like you have to do a lot of stuff. Like it was like you definitely feel like you have a farm, and some days were like I need to go to my farm and fucking work. And this one seems like more straightforward, so I appreciate that.
definitely.
And I think that overall I like that there's like an underlying mechanic, but there's also a story. Regarding Ori, I think that it's I don't know, like I should go back to play Hollow Knight, because I think I should continue playing that one instead of this one, because they're kind of like the same type of game, and I don't think I can enjoy them like if I do both at the same time. So I'm probably just gonna like park it for now, but I just wanted to give it a try because it's Game Pass and whatnot.
Absolutely, absolutely. That and the sequel, I think it's even better. So if you
Yeah,
like the first one, I definitely recommend you
cool.
going like all the way.
Yeah.
Well, sir, I think we've reached the end of the episode. I thank you once again for being
Less
here.
than 1 hour.
Less than 1 hour. We
This
did
is a
it
new
this time.
record.
Yes, it's a new. It's funny because it's a record, but like a reverse record where
most records are reverse records.
You're totally right. What an idiot. Well, not entirely, because sometimes it's like who lasted the most doing whatever, right? Or
some of them, but those are kind of like the shitty ones, you know, the impressive ones, like yeah, you're done, kind of thing.
Absolutely, you're totally right. So this is actually not a reverse record. And if you're a fan of us doing these races to the shortest podcast ever, please subscribe to this podcast. We try to give you weekly episodes where we talk about these timeless topics. Hopefully that continues to be true into the Eververse of the future verse. I don't know what you call that.
Hopefully we're not proven wrong if you watch this like in a year and be like, oof, these guys were completely off.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I've never been wrong in my life.
Yeah, no, me neither. So I think we're fine there. Also check out Christian's podcast in
hammerspacepodcast.com.
That is right. And of course, share this with everybody. Comment, like. We would love to hear your input. This was actually a very controversial topic, although I don't think we got into very controversial sands, I would say.
Don't dox me. Don't harass me. No death threats, please.
Don't do that, please. That's not really productive for anybody. We will see you on the next episode of the show.